about to get to it. The show's about to pop. Hope has a couple words to say.
I do.
Of course, this is your house.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud here at Grace Exhibition Space to have Sol Sax curating the evening, and yeah. Thank you.
Without further ado, I've studied a bunch of esoteric arts. The first esoteric art I studied was hip hop. Hip hop came out of 5% culture. It has a whole history, a very urban history, a whole spirituality connected with it. And it was out of hip hop that I got the name Sol Sax, which is short for solid as a brass axe, that has followed me all through my career. The next major esoteric traditional culture that I came in touch with was Asian traditional culture in the form of Saturday afternoon fight movies. Watching Bruce Lee, he introduced a whole generation of urban kids to traditional Chinese philosophy and Chinese, not only spirituality, but the concepts behind how spirituality is intertwined with physicality and how it can be expressed as one thing. These concepts are very similar to traditional African concepts. So for African Americans growing up in an urban setting that had been continuously segregated, so their African culture was still very much in retention in their culture, but they didn't even understand it. As kids, we didn't realize that hip-hop was based in African traditional culture. We were just taking everything our parents and our grandparents were doing and remixing it in our own style, which is very much what happened in Chinese culture. Each Chinese culture took the tradition of China, each Asian culture took the tradition of China and remixed it in their own style. Whether you talk about Korean culture, Tibetan culture, Filipino culture, even Japanese culture, you see this incredible influence of the oldest society that has ever continuously existed on Earth, which is China. All right? Dino Blanche, I've studied with him for more than 20 years now. He is an expert in Chinese traditional culture and Japanese traditional culture. He is about to introduce right now a form that he developed, he originated. I'm very, very proud to have had two originators here. King Luck originated beat rhyming, and Dino Blanche originated reverse gravity training. There's no reason for me to describe it, because you're going to see it presented here, right now. Without further ado, Mr. Dino Blanche, my sensei. Sensei of reverse gravity training, Mr. Dino Blanche. So, Dino.
Yes.
What were the issues that first brought you to the ball?
Well, traditionally, I studied Jiu-Jitsu, and in Japanese, Ju means gentleness, softness, weakness. And so, in pursuit of being true to that definition, I experimented with the ball. On the ball, you have to be very gentle. If you use any stiffness, any muscle, any trying to impose your will on your opponent, you will fall off the ball. So, in my studies on the ball, it came to me that there was more to it than just what meets the eye. And I started to examine how different postures in their relationship to the ball and relationship to gravity took on different attitudes. So although the ball is one of the arts that I practice, it showed me 7 other arts. That's why I came across the ball, was that pursuit.
One thing that you'll find that is a similarity between African culture and Chinese traditional culture, particularly with the martial arts, is the idea of mediumship of animal spirits. How does your 7 forms relate to the mediumship of animal spirits in traditional Chinese culture?
Well, the animal spirits are used as a teaching tool to kind of show human beings the power that they have within their imagination to call upon, especially in moments of conflict. In moments of conflict, we often meet conflict with resistance. And so if we can somehow learn how to engage our imagination so that we don't see conflict when we're in the midst of conflict, then we're able to change our bodily structure. In other words, by taking on a certain frame of mind, you start to influence your body chemically. And it allows you to sort of persevere in a certain kind of conflict. Whereas if you were angry or if you were ambitious, you would not be able to get that kind of chemical response. And in fact, you would get the opposite. You would get a very stiff body and a very rigid frame of mind. A mind that would not be able to be creative in solving problems.
One of the most important things, well, not the most important, one of the things that really have struck me about studying with you is the name of your dojo. In African culture, what the Japanese call a dojo, we would call a house. I study in an African house. It's the house of the White Crown. Your dojo is the house of the Laughing River.
Yes.
I would like for you to speak a little bit about the name of your house, the name of your dojo, and its meaning.
Well, actually, I came across the name in studying African culture. There was a passage in the book Muntu that spoke about laughter in African culture being a very powerful kuntu force that could wash away bad feelings, wash away bad attitudes, just kind of change the whole feeling of an environment through laughter. And it compared it like a river that will flow right over and right through something and change it like magic. Yeah. And so I was very intrigued with that concept and proceeded to develop a martial arts style that had several kinds of attitudes, as you would say, to take on that would allow you to deal with conflict in a way that was not a conflict, so that you could actually not get stressed out, but be in mortal combat.
I'd like to open up the conversation to the floor. Please don't raise your hand. Please don't speak over each other. We all went to art school, and if you haven't, you've seen Art Crit. Basically, this is a cipher. Everybody has the same right. Find a place of breaking the conversation and say your question or statement at that point. The floor is open. Any statement, any questions? Well, all right.
I have my period.
That's a good statement. However, it is not related to what Dino's...
No.
It can be. It
Yes,
is.
go ahead. Yes, you have
I have
your-
my period and my pussy is bloody.
Yes. And are you comfortable with that?
Well, I don't know, it depends. You're talking about the bulb having a softness.
Yes.
But you said you had to learn how to be soft
Right.
with the bulb.
Right.
So it could be period and softness, and because it's such a like tumultuous time for your body.
Yes.
Or is it not? You know what I mean? Can there be a softness in your pain?
Very much so. Very much so. This is actually a very good question. Sol and I practice something we call it internal shadow boxing. And so what we do when we have pain and we have anxiety, let's say you're about to do public speaking and you start to get a little shaky, sometimes your energy will be so powerful through anxiety that your heart will start to beat fast and make you feel as though you're losing control over your own body. Then you have, there's all kinds of pains in life. You have period pains, we have arthritis, we got back pain, we got, and then there's emotional pains where you feel, let's say maybe someone very close to you is mad at you, and it's very uncomfortable to feel that someone is upset with you. And so a way that we do within our Laughing River system is to internally shadow box. So you can imagine, like when somebody shadow boxes exteriorly, now you can do that imaginatively as well. And so what that does is it starts to take the energy of pain and it starts to give it some sort of expression, some sort of vehicle in which to sort of release it. And so it starts to relax us, calm us down. So that was a very good question, because the practice, if it can't help you with your everyday stuff, like that, then it's worthless. It has to be able to help you at home with your self-doubts, with your feelings of insecurity, with your feelings of inadequacy, with your feelings of regret. That's self-defense. You have to protect your heart. But sometimes, culturally, we're not given permission to use our imagination in a constructive, strategic fashion. We allow our imagination to destroy us often.
How?
When we say, I look in the mirror and I say, I'm getting old. Look at those wrinkles. Look at the way I look. I'm getting fat. I'm getting a belly. All right? We start to imagine all kinds of negative things. And those things affect our bodily systems immediately. It goes right into your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. The fight or flight starts to come up when you're having self-defeating thoughts. And so, self-defense is a means not only for defending against physical criminals that may be attacking you in the street, it's for defending yourself, from your ideas, from your conflicts with you and the people close to you. You can resolve those things once you study how to use your imagination. So I'll give you an example. Sal, will you play with me? Okay. All right, so we're going to play a game called push-pull. Now, what I did on the board, that was the wind. But now I'm going to do something called water.
By the way, this game has no rules other than you must keep your balance and use as little force as possible to get the other person to lose their balance. If you are using a lot of force, you're missing the reason for the game.
Now, can anybody see my attitude?
Yeah.
What is it?
You were like Bruce Lee became like water. Like you took the, you took like the whole, like, you took the, you know what I mean? You took like the glass.
Yes, yes. Now, what I am not doing, Kamsa, is this.
You're not resisting. You're becoming.
Right? That is exhausting. All right? But how many of us do we fight at home with our loved ones? Just like that.
Yes.
Butt head, right?
Even inside
Right?
my head.
All right? But it's not good strategy. It's bad strategy. We learned it somewhere like when we was kids, but it doesn't work now. Right? Even if you think you win with a loved one, you lose. That's your loved one.
That's real talk.
That's your loved one. All right? But in this situation, I can be in control by imagining he's not a threat. He's going, friend. All right? Now you think it's funny, but it's real. If I was to see conflict with him, I would be stiff. I would exhaust myself. I would eventually lose because he's bigger in size than me. I would get tired out. So in my imagination, I play with two drunken friends, right? And instead of I'm trying to make him step, I'm trying to save him. Maybe I'm taking him to the hospital. Maybe we're going to go for a walk. Do you follow me? So that's the essence. You don't see that necessarily up front. But in the best martial artists, that's where you see it. It's in here. All right? And that's where you conjure up a specific spirit that is appropriate for the conflicting situation. You have total freedom to do that.
Artists don't only work with mediums. Artists are mediums. And we call actual characteristics into our soul to be able to use those characteristics as weapons or tools to satiate the issues that bother us. Those issues could be personal issues like a period. Those issues could be political issues
Why are you
like
pointing
Trump.
at me when you talk about personal? I'm offended. What am I supposed to do?
You're right, it's not personal anymore.
Shut the fuck up and direct it to everyone else.
But the bottom line is that we try to allow space for the force to move through, provide contrast for the force, and maintain your balance.
Yes. So the martial arts studio, the dojo, isn't just a place to learn how to fight. It's a place to learn how to use your imagination constructively.
Do you give classes?
I certainly do.
Where? And what's your IG? Your IG?
Can I give you my card right after this?
Yeah, okay.
Certainly.
Can you tell us where your classes are, like what time?
Yeah, I'm in Queens, but
Which part?
how much?
Okay, I think, okay.
Okay.
Are there any other questions, any other
questions?
statements?
Yes.
So, I mean, your martial art practice, I mean, there are other practices that work for other people. Like, I do definitely relate to what you're saying. Understand what you're saying.
Yes.
Like, I mean, for me, meditation and yoga
Yes.
keeps me balanced and in check. And
Yes.
when I have confrontational situations,
Yes.
because of my practice, I'm able to kind of work that out in the best way and not react
Yes.
when it comes to confrontation. So I definitely think the physical and the mental have to have this kind of balance, or they have to come into play simultaneously, I think, to really make the outcome positive. And I like what you're doing, but I'm just saying that there are other practices that don't work in the same way.
Oh, most certainly, most certainly. Everybody has to find a practice that speaks to them, that provides for them, that makes it useful for them. And so when I first learned martial arts, I didn't learn it like this. I learned it was just about physical, and you just train, and you think the more push-ups you do, the better you get. But through years of study, I started to realize that I needed that art form to help me in other aspects of my life. I needed it for my relationships. I needed it for when I go out and maybe I gotta speak to the public and I'm feeling a little nervous and my heart is beating fast. How do I stop that? Right? Because if I start to speak with my heart like that, I may stutter, I may forget my point, I may not succeed. So realizing that our imagination is not just there for people who advertise to capture our minds, but it's there for us to use in a strategic way, which can transform the chemicals in our body.
How do you deal with disappointment? When you feel like you built something,
Yes,
and then
yes.
someone comes in and you feel like it gets
parties, you know, we used to boogie and stuff in like dark basements in the 70s, you know. And it's kind of like a dance in that. So like on my way over here, you know, I was a little nervous riding the bus, right? I'm feeling like kind of strange little tingly feelings all over my body that make me feel a little unusual, right? And so I'm trying to match the feeling with an internal movement. So when I talk about internal movement, you got this body that's sitting on the chair, and then you got another body that's like your spirit body. You can call it what you want, astral spirit, you can call it, I don't care what you call it, but you got another body, right? If I say, everybody look at the bottom of their feet, don't turn, don't look your head, but you can like bring your eye down there. And if you got an eye, it's got a body behind it. All right, so learning how to move that body is very strategically important in learning how to control your emotions, because the way you move that body, it can be off, where you promote the ill feelings, or you can move it in a way that it matches it. So for example, on the way here, moving like a worm was very good for me. Oh, you laugh, but you need a variety of movements. We are not just human beings. We are like the limit, no limit. And so when you start to move your body on the inside, I'm sitting on the bus, mind you, I can't do that on the bus, right? But I can do it up here. And so I work with the direction, right? Sometimes it's very different. Sometimes it's very circular, like on the wall. Sometimes, well, this was actually closer to what I was just showing you here, where you see me moving like this with Sol. Kind of, it's called water because you want to move like water. And worms also, they move like water. They ripple as they move. They squeeze and then the squeezing comes up. They squeeze and the squeezing comes up. So having that kind of vocabulary comes from practice. Every time you are disturbed, uneasy, troubled, is an opportunity to practice, to refine this art. Right? The art that is no art, meaning that you don't come with a canvas, it's for you. And you watch your heart calm down, now you know what you did. And that reverberates out into the community, because if you take care of yourself, now you're helping the people around you, right? So that insanity doesn't like spread everywhere, right? So that's important. So you make a difference by first changing you through the imagination. Imagination can have a variety of movements.
So,
Yes?
your practice of internal warriorship is a meditative practice in which you are constantly expanding your internal space to be able to express more and more energy, so that you don't have to express it through your physical body. You have this internal space that you can express fully your emotional and your physical pains.
Yes.
And my question is, as an artist, you are a sculptor and a painter and drawer as well,
Yes.
and printmaker. How does this meditative practice express itself visually in art world context?
In my personal
Yes,
art?
in your personal practice, in your personal art.
Well, I don't have any examples to show.
That's all right, just describe it.
Okay. My artwork is done like subconsciously. I look at the page of paper and I see lines appear where there are no lines. And then I trace them, and then I see more lines. And so through that process, I start to work this labyrinth of lines, and the space starts to become complicated, and by that time I'm starting to see spirits, ancestors. I'm starting to see stories about origins of time and space.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any other comments, questions, anything else? Okay, we're going to have a quick break, and then Mr. Molly Abrams, the glitter priestess, is going to take us on a spiritual journey. of reverse gravity training. Thank you all.